So as mentioned, today's topic is the topic of dreams, the mysterious topic of dreams. We'll explore what Judaism has to say about dreams, whether they are real, whether they are not real, whether there is much we can learn from them, or whether they are completely vain. And there's a lot to say about dreams, both from a Kabbalistic, mystical standpoint, but also from a very realistic, pragmatic, and practical standpoint. So I want to begin really with the question about dreams that is often asked, and that's why we are having this class. Are dreams to be taken seriously? Are they real? If we have a nightmare, should we just dismiss it and can we continue on with our day as if nothing happened? Or should we take it seriously and maybe try and change things in our lives, because that's what the nightmare tried to hint to us? Now, it is a clear scientific fact now that everyone dreams, right? There is that REM stage of the night, the rapid eye movement, as they call it, that happens either at the beginning of the evening or at the end of, at the beginning of your sleep, or at the end of your sleep. And when we dream, that's what it's called, the rapid eye movement, because if you notice people falling asleep, I see that in my children when I put them to sleep, that their eyes move very quickly, rapid eye. And I know that that's when they're dreaming. Apparently we have that same rapid eye movement when we wake up, and that's when we're dreaming too. Now, if you wake up slowly, most probably you'll be able to remember your dreams. If you wake up quickly, then you probably won't be able to remember your dreams, because you will have snapped out of them so quickly and so abruptly. So anyway, but everyone agrees that dreams do happen. The question is if they are to be taken seriously. Now, I want to dive right into the biblical and Talmudic sources that show that really there are two approaches in Judaism. We'll speak about the seeming contradiction between those two approaches, but there is an approach that says that no, they shouldn't be taken seriously whatsoever. There is an approach that says yes, they should be taken seriously. So we're left with a confused answer, and we'll explore really those two approaches more deeply thereafter to really reach a conclusion that should speak to each and every one of us, and that should enable us now to channel all of the dreams that we have into the best of directions, or into a very, at least, Jewish direction. So let's start with the opinions that say that dreams should not be taken seriously. Does anyone want to read here some verses, both from Tanakh, the Bible, and also the Talmud? Does anyone want to read? Julie, I see you raising your hand. Thank you. Thank you. Go for it.
Zophar, one of Ayub's friends, is trying to comfort him. He tells Job that the evil man who appears to have so many blessings and is doing so well will one day perish forever like his own dung. Like a dream, he will fly away and they will not find him, and he will wander away like a nighttime vision.
Right. So, yeah, we find a biblical source that says that a dream is vain. Basically, this is Job. This is a story of Job. He had 7 friends altogether that the book of Job speaks of. Zophar is one of them, and he's trying to comfort him after Job basically lost everything in life. And he tells him that the evil man, right, as you just read, that appears to have so many blessings, really is, even though it appears that evil people are rewarded, they'll perish forever, and like a dream, they'll fly away and they'll not find him. So in other words, dreams just fly away, they are vain. And we see, by the way, the same expression, not just in this book of Job, but in the prayer itself. On Rosh Hashanah, we speak about our sins that will fly away like dreams, kachalom yauf, because they have no realistic existence. Again, according to the words of Job and to the words of others. In Ecclesiastes, we find the same approach to dreams. Let's continue to read that reference and the next one too. Julie, go.
Okay. For a dream comes from too many worries, and a fool's voice comes from too many words. In spite of the many dreams, futilities, and idle chatter, rather you should fear God.
Right. In other words, don't pay attention to dreams, pay attention to God. Dreams are like fool's voice, and they should be dismissed. And then the Babylonian Talmud has an interesting story about how dreams really should not be taken seriously. Let's read this story. Go for it, Julie.
Okay. One day, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, who was the president, made a rule that two of his students, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan, disagreed with vehemently, so they decided to stump the rabbi and publicly shame him. A few nights later, they both had a dream where they were asked to apologize to their teacher. Rabbi Natan went to make peace, but Rabbi Meir refused because dreams are of no consequence.
Right, or in Hebrew, lo ma'alin v'lo mogidim. So why should I pay attention to this dream that asked me to apologize to my teacher if dreams are of no consequence? So, and the references, I don't want to bore you too much, but the references are many that speak about really how dreams, or to quote another verse that says, Chalomot shav yedaberu, that dreams speak vanity. Dreams should not be taken seriously. That's one approach. The second approach is that they should be taken seriously. And for that, we have also countless references. We have references from the Torah itself, we have references from the Talmud, and we have even references from Halacha, from Jewish law, showing that there are real implications to the dreams that we have. So the Torah sources, we don't have to go through all of them, but the Torah sources speak of the dream that Abraham had, in which God made a covenant of the parts with him. And that's when he showed him what will happen to the Jewish people in the future, and showed him the slavery of the Jewish people in Egypt, the subject of this week's portion and next week's portion, and the portion after that too. But here we see that Abraham's dream did count. After all, he had a covenant with God in that dream. Avimelech, who was a king, the king of Gerar, kidnapped Sarah, the wife of Abraham. He wanted to rape her. And God says to him in a dream, don't touch this woman because you are going to die if you do. So again, we see that God appears in dreams. So dreams must have some meaning. Then we have the dreams of Jacob. We have the dreams of Joseph. We read about the dreams of Joseph just a few portions ago. And then we have the dreams of the prisoners in the Egyptian prison where Joseph was, and he interprets those dreams. So Joseph gives them credence. He gives them weight, because otherwise he would have not interpreted them. So we see again that from a biblical standpoint, there is a lot of meaning to dreams. From a Talmudic standpoint, let's go to these references here. Does anyone want to read them? Anyone? Unless Julie, you want to continue.
Yeah, I'll
You'll be
read.
an official reader today. Go for it.
Based on a verse in Jeremiah, quotes in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, just like there is no grain that does not also have the chaff, so too there is no dream that does not also contain some foolish things. This implies that overall, a dream is real with a message, even though there might be some minor details that are incorrect.
Right, so this flips the table really on the previous approach, that yes, dreams are actually mostly meaningful. They do have a message. Some details are a little bit foolish, but most of the dream is real. Now, let's go even further. Listen to this, to these two references here. Go ahead. Brachot 57b.
A dream is 1/60th of prophecy.
That's amazing. And Chagiga 5b, go for it.
Rava said, although God has turned his face away from Israel, he will speak in dreams to individuals.
Right, God doesn't speak to individuals as he used to speak to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and so on. But he will continue to speak to us, according to Rava at least, in dreams. So when we dream of a heavenly voice coming to speak to us, it might just be God. Now this takes the meaning of dreams to a whole different level. Dreams don't just have hints or interpretations. They have actual prophecies, a 60th of a prophecy, according to Brachot 57b, or God's voice speaking to you, according to Chagiga 5b. That's in the Talmud. Halakhic sources say that, yes, dreams also ought to be taken seriously. Why? Because there are things that we do, practically speaking, if we've had a bad dream. And there are things that we do before going to sleep to prevent us from bad dreams, from having bad dreams. And the things that we do after we have a bad dream, showing that, again, dreams have a lot of meaning. Let's read the halakhic sources quickly, and then we'll relate to this contradiction. Go ahead.
In the prayer we say at night before going to sleep, we ask God to save us from evil dreams.
Right.
There is a concept called Ta'anit Halom, the dream fast. Rabbi Chisda added, one must fast on the same day on which the dream occurred. And Rabbi Yosef added, even on Shabbat.
Right. So this is one halakhic implication. If God forbid one had a nightmare, a very bad dream, then a person should fast. And that's called the Ta'anit Halom. Now, this, according to some opinions at least, should also happen if you had a bad dream on Friday night and you wake up Shabbat morning with that memory of that terrible dream. You can even fast on Shabbat. Now, in most cases, fasts are not allowed on Shabbat, except for Yom Kippur. If Yom Kippur falls on Shabbat, then that's the only time we fast. Other fast days, if they fall on Shabbat, we don't fast. But if it is because of a dream, some would say, at least according to Rabbi Yosef, that you are allowed to dream. You are allowed to fast because of that bad dream on Shabbat, which shows again that dreams are to be taken very, very seriously. Let's continue with two additional sources from Halacha, and then again we'll relate to this contradiction. Go ahead, Julie.
Based on Tractate Nedarim 8a, if anyone was put into harem, excommunicated in a dream, he had to have 10 people absolve him of the ban.
Right. So if a person is excommunicated, if he sees the Jewish community coming to him in a dream and saying, hey, you're not welcome, we won't count you for anything, then even though it was a dream, in order to annul this excommunication that he experienced in his dream only, he has to assemble 10 people and ask those 10 people to absolve him of this ban. Not of the dream, but of the ban, because we relate to this ban as being very real, even though it was only in a dream. And then this is the most astonishing book, but let's continue one more. Julie, go for it.
The whole book of Shiloh Uteshuvot Minha Hashamayim.
Yeah.
This book was written by the 13th century French Kabbalist Yaakov Halevi of Marveig. The entire book is answers of the angels to questions he has asked in his dreams. Right.
So there's a whole book among the Kabbalistic references and books from this 13th century French Kabbalist, Yaakov Halevi of Marveig, who says that, who gives answers to questions that he had, real questions that he had, based on the dreams that he had, dreams that came and conveyed the answers to the questions that he had composed before going to sleep. It's an astounding book, but again, we see that dreams are very real and they are to be taken seriously. So what's the verdict? Are dreams real according to Judaism? Or are dreams just plain vanity? What are these sources saying? Because they seem to be contradicting one another. And the answer is divided into multiple ideas that I want to really bring home today. Big ideas about not just what to do with our dreams, but also in a way, what to do before we dream, before we go to sleep, and what to do in life altogether. Lessons that are learned from this concept of dreams. Let's go to Babylonian Talmud, track the Brachot 55b, which is one of the key, which shares one of the key lessons so that we can know how to make sense of this apparent contradiction. Rabbi Bana said, one more, Julie, I promise you, and then I'll leave you alone.
Okay, that's okay.
Go ahead.
Rabbi Bana said there were 24 interpreters of dreams in Jerusalem. Right. Once I dreamt a dream and I went round to all of them and they all gave different interpretations. Says Rabbi Bana, all 24 interpretations were fulfilled. This confirms that which is said, all dreams follow the mouth.
Right, all dreams follow the mouth. In other words, all dreams follow the interpretation that they are given. If you have 24 interpretations of one dream, all of these 24 interpretations will be fulfilled, as we see here in the story of Rabbi Bana. And that's why there is this beautiful Jewish custom that shares with us that whenever someone reveals to us, privately or not, that they had a bad dream, the first thing we should say is Chalma Tava, good dream. No, don't look at this as a bad dream. You actually had a good dream. Why? Because we truly believe that all dreams follow the mouth. All dreams follow the interpretation that we give them. And no matter how bad that nightmare may have been, that my son or my daughter or a friend or someone else is sharing with me, I have the power to transform the badness of the nightmare into something good just by saying Chal Matava, just by saying it was a good dream, because again, we truly believe that all dreams follow the mouth. This I think implies a few big ideas. Idea number one, of course, is that we have to be careful with what we say. What we say creates an existence in this world. We've spoken about this many times. But if we say bad things, then that's what will happen. If we say good things will happen. And therefore, if the dream is interpreted in a good way, now we have brought down this through our words that create energy, create a real existence in this world, a good interpretation to this dream, and that's what will happen. If God forbid, we say something bad, then we've created a bad energy and a bad existence. So we have to be careful, I would even say very careful with the words that come out of our mouth and with the way we interpret dreams or we interpret anything else. That's lesson number one that comes from the statement. Lesson number two is a deeper lesson. And that is that in life, we experience all sorts of events, all sorts of moods, all sorts of fluctuations. That's what life is. Though life is what they say, what is called smooth sailing. In life, we're like in a dream. In a dream, many things happen. Sometimes I see opposites, sometimes I see things that make sense, and sometimes I see things that don't make sense. The question is, how will I relate to those events of life, to those experiences? If I keep a positive mindset, or what psychologists today call a growth mindset, then we'll be able also to live a life that then becomes positive. If I relate to events, even the most stressful of all, even the most negative of all, as events that are negative because I've defined them as negative, then that's the existence I will give them. And that negativity will then influence me in a negative way, of course. So I have really the choice, according to the statement again, on a deeper level, I have the choice to live a positive life based on the mindset I have. My mindset is a mindset that no matter the event, like in a dream, no matter the event, no matter how stressful, how challenging it may have been, if I have the mindset that it is good, it is for the good, it was God sent, there's a blessing in this, then that's the way my life will be. If I relate to events, the stressful ones, especially the challenging ones, as negative ones, and I say, oh gosh, my life has taken such a sour turn, then that's the way my life will be. It's not just year, but it's also year before we even interpret what is happening to us. And that I think is also a very powerful lesson from this statement of the Talmud. I will share with you the great Hasidic story about Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev, who had two guests visiting from this town in Russia. Forget the name of the town, but let's say just for the sake of it, Leningrad. And it's not called Leningrad anymore, right? It's called, what's it called today? Back in the times of Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev, it was called St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg, that's correct. Yes, thank you.
I was there.
Yes, anyhow. So, but in the times of Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev, it was called Leningrad. So anyway, two guests from there. And he asks one guest, so how things in Leningrad first, privately? And this guest says, oh, it's terrible. Things are terrible in Leningrad. We have no money, no food to eat, nothing. Fine. After a while, he calls in the other guest and he says, how things in Leningrad? And this guest says, in Leningrad, things couldn't be better. The community is great. Everyone loves one another. Yes, we don't have food to eat, but everyone supports each other. Fine, he leaves. After he leaves, the helper of Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev, who was there in the room, says, I don't understand you, Rabbi. You asked the same question to two separate people. How are things in Leningrad? Why can't you be satisfied with one? Move on to this question. As to this helper, he says, I think I don't know how things are in Leningrad. I know very well. We from Leningrad here all the time. You think I don't know? See how things are in their head. How do they live there in Leningrad? How do they experience life in Leningrad? I want to see what type of people are. That's why I was asking, are in Leningrad. Sometimes two people are looking at the exact same thing and they have two different interpretations. One that's very good and one that's very bad. Why? Because the person himself might be bad, or at least in a bad mindset. And that is him to then look at that same thing in a bad way. So what I'm saying here on a profound level, and that is that if we wish to experience good dreams, then have a good mindset. Good mindset that will lead to a good interpretation, and then will lead to a good existence, to a good translation of that interpretation in a very realistic way. That's really what Rabbi Bana is saying, and I think that it's particularly true in our day and age, where things indeed are not the way maybe they're supposed to be, are very chaotic. It starts here. If we wish to change, to see a change, a positive change in society, it's got to start right here. To quote Gandhi, be the change that you want to see in the world. I would say think the change that you want to see in the world. Starts here. Then say the change that you want to see in the world. And once you've said it, then that change will happen. And that's exactly what Rabbi Bana is saying here. Okay, now, that is also why in a different source in the same page of that Talmudic tractate, Rabbi Chisda said that a dream which is not interpreted is like a letter which is not read and therefore has no value. It all depends on how you're going to interpret that dream. The dream might be one thing, but your interpretation is what conveys the message of that letter, that dream letter. And if the interpretation is good, then the value of it will be good. If not, the value of it will be bad. Now, that's one big idea. Another idea is that in order to relate to, so another idea is that not only do dreams follow the mouth, like we just said, but also dreams have the power to influence or be influenced by our surroundings. And I want to read this reference and then develop this point that I just made. Again, that dreams can be influenced or be influenced by our surroundings. In other words, dreams are not private, but they can potentially be something very public and be influenced by the public itself. Just dwell on this for a second and let's read this reference here. Does anyone want to read? Hatavat Chalom, the right of transforming. Oh, thank you so much, Sue. Go for it.
Hatavat Shalom. Is that it?
Shalom, yeah.
The rite of transforming a nightmare into a good dream was performed as follows. The dreamer gathered 3 friends and said to them, I have beheld a good dream. And they responded, yes, it is good. May it be good, and may God make it good. This was repeated 7 times. Then the dreamer recited 3 verses in which the word to overturn appears. 3 verses containing the word redeem, and 3 which mention peace.
Right. Okay. So this furthers the idea that we just said, but in a very interesting way. And that is that, let's say a person said to himself, yes, this is a good dream. And he had a positive mindset, and he even had a positive interpretation because he knew that all dreams follow the mouth. And he said Chal Matava, like we said, but still, it's not leaving his mind. It's still bothering him. Some people have dreams like that. I've personally had dreams like that, dreams that were very bothersome, personal dreams that were very bothersome. So you did everything you needed to do. You checked all the boxes, but it's still bothering you. So there's an additional, even psychological exercise here that is presented by the Talmud. And that is that, well, if it's bothering, that means that dream is real. And that negativity might just be real because it keeps haunting you. So what do? You call your friends, or you call an assembly of three people, friends or not. And those friends, just by coming together and at the same time repeating time and time again that these dreams are peaceful and these dreams are good. You know, you've beheld a good dream, a good dream, a good dream. By repeating that time and time again, their repetition will then eradicate the dream altogether. And the negativity of the dream that is bothering you will then be uprooted. What this means, again, is that there is a third layer here. One layer we said is the positive mindset. The other layer is the words that we say, the interpretation of the dreams. Third layer is that the repetition of it is good, and galvanizing your friends to create that reality too is yet another thing that can help to solve dreams and to eradicate bad dreams. So we have the idea, the deeper idea that I think applies not just to dreams, but to life altogether, that when people come together as one, they can create wonders. They can make the impossible possible. They can even make that which was a small prophecy of negativity into a positive one. People come together and they focus and repeat goodness, actions of goodness or words of goodness to one another, then that really breaks all limits. Then even the sky is not the limit. Then that which seems at least so negative becomes so positive, just because of the unity of people that come together to do good and do good, say good and say good time and time again. A very powerful idea again. So far we spoke about three big things, three big ideas, both in the realm of dreams and also in the realm of life. One is the positive mindset that we'll have will decide whether our dream is good or bad. The way we interpret our dreams will decide whether our dream will be good, our dream will be bad. And the unity of our friends that we have with our friends, that our friends have with us, but it's a unity of purpose in which we come together to say good and to do good, that will also decide whether our dreams are good or our dreams are bad if that route is not followed. So we have here three very practical tools by the Talmud on how to deal with dreams and how to make sense of them and ensure that they are indeed channeled in the best of ways. I want to just share with you here this special story that brings to light all of that was everything that was set up until now. Does anyone want to read? Brachot Bar Hedya. Does anyone want to read? Anyone?
I'll read it again.
Yes. Thank you, Sue. Thank you.
Bar Hedya,
Yes.
was an interpreter of dreams. To one who paid him, he used to give favorable interpretation. And to one who did not pay him, he gave an unfavorable interpretation.
Right.
Abai and Rabba each had a dream. Abai gave him a zuz, and Rabba did not give him anything. They said to him, in our dream we had to read the verse, your ox shall be slain before your eyes. To Rabba he said, your business will be a failure, and you will be so grieved that you will have no appetite to eat. To Abai he said, your business will prosper, and you will not be able to eat from sheer joy. Many bad things happened to Rabba until Rabba got the hint and gave him a fee. From then on, Bar Hedya would interpret the dreams for good.
Right. So there we go. Yeah, we have a clear story that proves all that was said. And that is that, again, the way you interpret the dreams, what you say creates an existence. What you think creates an existence. Actually, also unity. Unity that unites someone else, like Rabbi and United Bar Hedya. The unity that aims to create good will create good just for the mere merit of that unity. If, God forbid, you unite with someone else to create something bad, then that's what will be. So we have, again, these three ideas embedded in the story. So just to summarize, and then I want to take this to a different direction, but just to summarize, we've had two distinct pathways that show that there's a seeming contradiction as to how Judaism views dreams. One pathway was that dreams are vain. The other pathway was that dreams now are quite real. The conclusion of the Talmud, as it relates to the seeming contradiction, is that it all depends on us. We can decide whether dreams will be vain, or we can decide whether dreams will be good. How so? In one of three ways, or all three ways altogether. with a positive mindset that we have towards those dreams, with the good interpretations, or God forbid, bad interpretations that we have towards those dreams. And number three, with us sharing those dreams and uniting with others. If it's for the good, then the dream will be good. If it's for or vain, altogether disappear. And if it's for the bad, then the dream, God forbid, can become bad just because of that unity of forces. That's what we've spoken about thus far. Are there any questions, comments before we go now to very practical advice, but taking this to a different direction? Any comments? Nothing. Disagreement? Okay. You can unmute yourself. Yes.
I have a question. It's Hannah.
Yes, Hannah.
Is there anything in Judaism ever where people agree on something? It seems like we're always disagreeing. So I know it's kind of a general question, but
yeah. Look, I think that's the beauty of Judaism, that we are asked to question, and we're never afraid to question and to disagree. But at the end of the day, like it is here, we find somehow a solution, and we know how to merge our opinions into one. And that's the beauty, just like, we just read now. But I will mention one more thing, and that is that although we disagree sometimes very strongly on different opinions, we have one heart. As Racheli Frankel famously said, that when you have two Jews, you have three opinions, but one heart. Where do you see that in Judaism? You see that in the mitzvah of tefillin. It's interesting to note, but the tefillin, the head tefillin, are split into four different compartments. We have four different scrolls on the head, but the hand tefillin have one big box with all of these four different scrolls united into one. So you really have one scroll in the hand tefillin. Why the difference? And there was a Rabbi Amiel, the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv in the 1930s. He said that's because it represents what Judaism says about disagreements. When it comes to the mind, then the diversity of opinions is welcome. That we should have multiple compartments, as many opinions as we can. But when it comes to action, which is what the arm represents, then we should act united as one. Then there shouldn't be any disagreements. But that has been the approach really of Judaism. So yes, we've had over generations, many, many disagreements. And that's what the Talmud, for example, is all about, and so many other books. But on the other hand, we also knew that when it came to action, we united as one to act on behalf of our people. And that's really the beauty of being Jewish, of Jews. Good point, good question. Any other questions before we go here to the final advice, practical advice? No. Again, I'm not sure if you're trying to speak, but make sure you're unmuted.
Rabbi,
yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Sue, please.
So like you said, you may have a dream that bothered you, right?
Right.
Do you take it to three people, really, to discuss it?
So that's a good point. If it's haunting me, then yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Again, we said that if it still doesn't leave you, even though you interpret it and it still doesn't leave you and it's haunting you, then yes, that's what I would do. Again, and I believe that the power of having three people joined together for a common purpose of goodness creates wonders. It's true not just for dreams, like we mentioned, by the way. It's true for so many other things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yes, Julie. No, but Julie, you're muted. You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
This happened years and years ago, but I was going to a baby shower, and the night before I dreamt that it was a girl, and I just knew it was a girl. The parents didn't find out, and it was a girl. And then she was born ill, and she was going to have surgery when she was 5, and then when she was 3, and that was the last I'd heard. And one night I had this horrible dream that I was following my friend around who was crying hysterically, and I kept saying, "It's going to be okay, it's going to be okay." She called me that morning to tell me that her daughter had to have emergency surgery and had passed away. I mean, what do you make of?
Right. So that's a good point. So look, like I said, some dreams are so haunting that means that there's something about it. And I don't know if, sometimes the decree is sealed, and even going to 3 people and even fasting, like was suggested, doesn't help. But there are dreams that are, like the Talmud also said, right, that there are a 60th prophecy.
Mm.
And I think it's those dreams that make a huge impact, that really are a sign that this is a prophecy. Again, if it's a negative one, there's sometimes ways to annul it. But if it's so impactful and so haunting, then certainly a sign.
Yeah, it's as if I dreamt it last night. They're both so vivid in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, there are good dreams also that appear in a very impactful way. I'll share a personal story. My wife's grandmother is a Holocaust survivor. And she tells the story of how she really survived the Holocaust. She was in a labor camp in Ukraine as a young child, along with her sister. And in the middle of the night, the mother wakes her up and says, "We got to get out of here. And they say to her, "How can we get out of here? There's not the Nazis everywhere. There's guards everywhere. There's Russian guards at the gate. The gate is locked." She said, "We got to get out of here." And she took them and she started running, wide open. And they ran away. And they asked her afterwards, how did you know? And she said, "Well, I had a dream of my father who came to me and said, 'Take your girls and run out.' And I dismissed it. And he came 2 more times. And after the 3rd time, I knew that this was real. So I woke you up, and we ran out. And just like he said, the guards were asleep. It was New Year's Eve, so they were all drunk. And no one stopped them. The gate was wide open, and they spent the rest of the war in the forest. But having been saved by a dream, that stayed in that labor camp, they would have been murdered. So sometimes you have these powerful dreams that do make a very big impact.
Yeah, it was crazy because the baby was only 5.5 months when she had to have surgery. And the last I'd heard was
2
or 3 years old. So it's not like I knew she was having surgery. It was just,
right.
maybe it is that prophecy, that 1/60th.
Right. There you go. So, yeah. Now, again, I mean, we have to do everything we can in order to try and annul them. Again, by interpreting them in a good way, but, right, going to, like we said, going to 3 people and so on and so forth. But still, sometimes are so haunting, and it's no doubt it's a sign that this is a prophecy. And hopefully it's good prophecies that we have in dreams and negative ones.
Rabbi, this discussion reminds me of Fiddler, when he has a dream, when his daughter is going to marry he wants him to marry the butcher, and then he has a dream that the grandma comes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, that was a made-up dream in Fiddler on the Roof.
I know, but it's a dream. He used his dream, he used his dream to his benefit, which was.
Yeah, of course. No, yeah.
He made that up for his wife.
I know, but he used it,
Yeah.
and people believed him, so,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. All right, very good.
I have another question.
Yes, please, Sue.
Okay. When your wife's grandmother, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When her father came to her in the dream,
Mm-hmm.
are we thinking that that was her father coming to her, or she just dreamt it? I mean, she dreamt it, but.
Yeah, I mean, she saw her father vividly in the dream. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it was her father.
Oh.
Now, again, we're bothered, and that's why we're speaking about this. We're bothered mainly by the bad dreams and what to do with them. The good dreams, let's allow them to exist by giving them an interpretation that is very clear. Good dreams don't need to be changed. The bad dreams, we need to turn them into vain dreams. And how do we turn them into vain dreams? So we have those 3 tools that we mentioned. But the good dreams, let's allow them to exist. Why not? Again, we do believe that dreams are real. To present it in a different way, dreams are very real, but we can uproot the reality of those dreams with those 3 things. Yeah. Okay, now, there are other ways to uproot the reality of bad dreams, and there are other lessons that dreams altogether share with us. So I want to conclude here with just a few additional ideas. One idea comes from the late Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Schneerson of blessed memory. He wrote an answer to a person that was very concerned because his wife could not function. This is the reference right here, because of nightmares she was having, and they had checked the mezuzot, so the mezuzot of their house. The Rebbe responded to check that they had been properly placed on the right side, and that, because the mezuzot have to be placed on the side of the entrance, and that she should increase in faith in God. So yeah, we see again the great Rebbe who says that dreams could be very well be taken seriously, but there are things we can do outside of the way we interpret them and speak about them and unite with others that can also change the destiny of a dream, and that is checking your mezuzot, checking that they are placed on the right side, and increasing the faith of God. That's one idea. Another idea now to take this idea of dreams into two additional directions. One is that it's interesting to note, but apparently studies show that at least 50% of dreams are about flying. Now, whether you fly superhumanly without planes or without wings or whatever it is, or not, that already depends on your dream. But 50% of dreams are about flying. What's the lesson in all of this? That the dreams come to teach us that we always need to be growing. We can't remain static. Judaism demands that of us to transcend a normal inner self. What's interesting is this, and this is based, right, again, this is a study, but and the lesson is from the study too. But what's interesting is that what happens during sleep is that a soul, in a way, is returned to God. And that's why there's a prayer before we go to sleep that says that B'yadcha afkid ruchi, that God, I will now deposit my spirit, my soul into your hands. In fact, there was a great Hasidic Jew who would wake up often at night because he would need to go to the bathroom. And each time he would wake up, he would go to the bathroom, but then go study Torah, and then go back to sleep. And I asked him, why do you have to study Torah? Just wake up earlier and study Torah then. And he said, that's because I won't know what to say in heaven, that I left them for a few minutes just to go to the bathroom. I'm embarrassed to say that. So I go and study Torah. So that when I go back to the heavens, I said, look, I took a break to study Torah, so don't take it personally. But in any case, that's what happens to our soul. Now, is examined. And sometimes God says to the soul, okay, you did well today, but you didn't fly enough. You didn't continue to grow. So he sends us about flying. And in many cases, and maybe that's why, because most people don't grow to the maximum that they can grow. That's why 50% of dreams are about flying. Because as God is examining us and we're sleeping, dreaming, God is saying, fine, I like your soul. I'm going to return it to you tomorrow morning, but please fly. Do the maximum you can. Continue to go and grow and grow, because that's what life is all about. So that's another idea to keep in mind. Third idea is directly from Rabbi Steinsaltz himself, and he focuses on a verse from the Talmud that says, whoever does not dream in 7 days is called bad. Now, everyone dreams. We said at the very beginning, we have the rapid eye movement in which everyone dreams. So what does it mean that whoever doesn't dream in 7 days? Everyone dreams. It's impossible to go 7 days without dreaming. And Rabbi Steinsaltz takes this in a beautiful direction. He says, no. What the Talmud is saying here is that it's not speaking about dreams, physical dreams, dreams that we have at night. It's speaking about goals, life aspirations. If a person doesn't have a goal, doesn't want to shoot high, doesn't have an aspiration that is lofty in life, each and every 7 days or each and every day even, then he's considered to be bad. The person is willing to just sink in his comfort zone and be overcome by apathy and laziness, then that person is considered bad. The person is not driven to grow, like we said, and to achieve another goal and another dream and another dream, that person is considered to be bad. And I want to quote Rabbi Steinsaltz's words, the words themselves, from a speech he gave in 1989 to an assembly of world Jewish leaders. Does anyone want to read this last reference here? There is a beautiful statement. Anyone? Julie, go for it. Thank you.
There is a beautiful statement in the Midrash on the verse in the book of Psalms that states, "Don't dare touch my messiahs." The sages say, "My messiahs" mean children. It's a strange statement, but this is exactly what I said. A Jewish child is that child that dreams about saving the world. He may incidentally also dream of being a driver of a big car or something else, but still he also wants to be the savior of the world, and that is an inseparable part of his existence.
Right. And what Rabbi Stamps is really saying is that it's interesting because, you know, kids speak about their dreams, both their sleep dreams and also their life dreams. And that's because they are dreamers. And or in John Lennon's words, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Thousands and thousands of children are dreamers. They always dream. And that's why they're called small messiahs in the words of the Midrash. Because what is a messiah? Messiah is a person who wants to change the world, to save the world, to redeem the world. And children have those dreams. I want to change the world. Fortunately, when we grow up, we stop dreaming. We remember our dreams less also, our sleep dreams less, but we also remember our life dreams a little less. And those dreams disappear. And we learn to settle with less, maybe even to be less. And this is something that is simply unacceptable in Judaism, that you cannot have 7 days go by without a dream. You have to remain a Messiah. Children are Messiahs, but remain that Messiah as you grow up. It's almost like Picasso once said that when he was asked if all children are born artists, and he says, yes, of course they are. Questions if they can remain artists once they grow. So can we remain dreamers once we grow? And I think, and please feel free to disagree with me, but I think that that's the single greatest difference between all of the great giants in history, and no matter the field, in every field that you look at, whether it's science, sports, spiritual, you name it, all the great giants in history became giants. Why? Because they never stopped dreaming and they never stopped pursuing the fulfillment of those dreams. Others just gave up. And understandably so. Yes, there are challenges in life that just overcome you. But again, the Talmud says you were born a Messiah, continue to be a Messiah when you grow. So if we are speaking about dreams in this class, let's also remember to speak about the dreams, not just the sleep dreams, but also the life dreams that we may have had when we were children and that we may have today. And let's not give up on them. Let's continue to dream at least once every 7 days. Then we'll be called good. And then at the same time, we'll also be able to change the world. I want to conclude just with the story of a great rabbi, Rabbi Yaakov Shvai, who passed away, in fact, a few months ago in Brooklyn, New York. But this rabbi was born in Russia to a family that was very poor, yet very Jewishly devout. Unfortunately, the circumstances he was born in were very dire and painful. His father died when he was young, and his two siblings were sent away to yeshiva, to a better place, so that they could study Torah, where it wasn't prohibited to study Torah, because of course they lived under communism. And when he turned 8, his mother said, look, I'm sorry to tell you, I know you don't have a father and you don't have brothers here at home. All you have is me, but I have to send you away. I'm too worried about your Jewish future. So I'm going to send you to the same yeshiva your brothers are at. Unfortunately, I can't go with you, but I will come whenever I can. I will come and join you. I promise you. The young Yaakov Shvai said, fine. Okay. He went to yeshiva. And after a few months, thank God, his mother was able to join him and the rest of his brothers. And she took a train to that place where they were sent to. When she got off the train to reunite with her children, she sees her son, Yaakov, at the train station. And Yaakov runs to her and gives her a big hug, but she can't understand. She said, I thought you were in yeshiva. What are you doing here in the train station? And her son, Yaakov, replied, well, mommy, you promised me that you would be here in a few months. So ever since I arrived, every day I would come to the train station to see if you would get off that train, to see if your promise would be fulfilled. I believed you because I knew you would never lie. So today I also came to the train station, and thank God this was the day finally in which your promise was fulfilled and I could reunite with you. I came each and every day to check on you. By the way, Rabbi Yaakov Shvai became one of the great halakhic authorities of our time, thanks to this tremendous self-sacrifice, both of himself and of course of his mother. But I'm telling you the story because Yaakov had a dream that his mother would come back. His mother would be reunited, and he never let go of that dream. He was a young 8-year-old boy. Could have said, you know what, I'm alone in the world and I'm doomed. And my mother will never come, and who knows if she'll make it here safe, who knows if the Russians won't kill her. But he had a dream and he clung to it. He held on to it strongly as he could. He had that dream when he was 8 years old. When he was 9, he had another dream. And later on, he had a dream to become one of the great halakhic authorities of our time. Friends, our souls made dreams. Before we came down to this world, we created dreams for that soul. We said to God, we said to our loved ones up there, we will go down and save the world, each in our own way. Now it's the time to fulfill those dreams. And if we fulfilled some of them already, let us not let 7 days go by before we create yet another dream, and yet another dream, and yet another dream, because that's what dreams are truly about, not just the sleep dreams, but the life dreams. And if we can dream and dream and dream and dream at least once every 7 days, as the Talmud implies, then no doubt we'll also be able to create goodness in the world and finally ensure that the existence of our sleep dreams and of our life dreams will materialize and continue to shine on and on to eternity.